I know nothing. I know nothing.
So Jay, how's it all coming together?
It's coming together good.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about just this time of the year, you're in that kind of, I don't want to call it a sweet spot, but I guess it's a sweet spot of you're tired of seeing each other. You need to see somebody else. So that's kind of where we are right now. But I like how we're progressing. I like where we're headed to going into the first game, going into November 3rd. So we're moving along.
2 weeks out from your head coaching debut, first game here, is starting to feel more real?
No, it's been felt real, but just the excitement of just the season happening, and seeing where we are, seeing how much we've picked up and how much we can carry over from what we're practicing and what we've built, not only from just offense, defense, but also just from a culture and an identity standpoint. I'm excited to see it live when people are in the crowd and with fans and everything. So I'm excited. I can't wait.
Jay, why did you elect to not have exhibition games as opposed to the scrimmages? Why you leaving that philosophy? And then if there's anything you can comment on how the scrimmage went.
Yeah, Will, this first year when you come in and need 13 new players, you really don't know what it's going to look like in the moment. And so it was more important for me to use kind of the closed scrimmages as an extended practice. With the exhibition games, you can kind of, you're still caught up in winning the scrimmages, but with the exhibition game with fans, with it being on TV, you really get caught up in it. And I wanted to really hone in on just my rotations and trying different things. And using the scrimmages to do that as an extension of practice was more important to me this year than it was simulating the game. It still is a game, but it's a little bit different when you do the close scrimmages. And the one we had this weekend felt good about, and I really liked where we were and what we carried over from what we've been practicing. A big thing for me is just our competitive spirit and our nature when we're on the court. How we compete, what we look like. Are we the loudest team? Are we talking? Are we doing our job at a high level? Is really important to me, and I feel good where we were for right now. Now, are we where we need to be for November 3rd? Not anywhere close, but for October 18th or whatever it was, I felt we were pretty good.
What were the things that you liked in these scrimmages?
One thing with our size and our athleticism, just picking up the tempo, the style of play, and how we can get out and run in transition. Being able to score early in the shot clock is a big key and something we've preached the whole time. And then just also the rebounding. The rebounding both on the offensive end, but also defensively, winning the boards, winning the turnover battle, winning the free throw battle. So we were able to do that, so I felt good about it.
What individuals are jumping out at you right now?
Every day has been somebody different, but I think our most consistent people, Trey Donaldson, has been really consistent, and him this Saturday played really good, just controlling the team. His assistant turnover rate was what you wanted to be as a guard. So that was really important to me, just to kind of see him against other people. Sheldon Henderson as a freshman has really performed really well. Just his ability to do multiple things and show his versatility at his age and putting him in different spots and different positions. His approach of carrying that over has been really good. Also another one that's been good is Dante Allen. He's kind of a guy that is a utility guard. I like to call him. He can play all three positions, but his impact on winning is felt, and you can see it right away once he gets on the court. And then, just everybody accepting their role. The team has done a good job with that, but those three guys have kind of stood out and really separated themselves.
It's more of a two-parter for you. One, Shelton helped with somebody that they saw in the photos that came up. In transition, was it a half-court set?
It was in a half-court set. It was after an offensive rebound from a free throw. And it was a rotation play, and he saw the lane and he took it. We have that kind of size and that kind of athleticism. And for him to just have that aggressiveness to go do what we practice. Part of what we do every day is finishing. And now, usually it's not dunks, but just through contact and stuff like that. But, that's just where the talent kicks in and he's able to be who he is.
You were obviously, around plenty of high-profile recruits when you were at Duke. When a guy comes in like Shelton's, the height and around a 5-star prospect and everything, how do you manage a guy like that? Obviously, he probably has high expectations for himself.
Yeah.
Fans have high expectations. How do you, help him do typical freshman things like integrating into a roster, onto a college roster, and the college play style, and while there's all that kind of outside stuff.
Yeah, the first thing is just holding them accountable to the level and the standard. And a big thing for me and our staff is making sure We give them ownership of their development and making sure it's collaborative. So, you know, when he says what he wants to do or what he wants out of it, we can hold him accountable to that. I think that's the best way of doing it. And then part of the reason I have my staff and the way I do it is to make sure we have daily vitamins, as I like to call it. Part of that is film. Part of that is skill development on the court. And then off the court, the relationship piece. So being around people like him and having experience with freshmen who have high expectations and have dreams of wanting to get there, but just getting him to understand that it's a process. And it got to take it one day at a time, and he's going to have good games, he's going to have bad games. But, you know, the bad games, it's not the end of the world, and the good games, you're not going to be gone tomorrow. You know what I mean? You're not going to be the first pick tomorrow. So just having him understanding that and keeping everything in perspective, I think is big for him.
How are the bigs coming? I mean, you've got some pretty good size
Yeah.
inside. How are they developing?
Yeah, they're developing well. You know, Ernest, of course, has had a lot of experience with everything he's done. Malik is another guy who has a lot of experience, and we'll kind of play them together and can play Malik and Solly. And we have a bunch of versatility, especially in our bigs, where we can come with different lineups in different ways. So they're all developing, and I think Solly, who came from Turkey, has done. And of course, you know, he's 19, so he's gonna make a jump. But he's done the best job of just continuing to develop. Like Ernest and Malik, getting what we're kind of expecting. We gotta tweak and tune some things, but Solly is developing at a high rate.
Jay, just defensively, you've talked about that quite a bit. How's it, if you kind of progress update there, where the guys are, and also maybe your philosophy on what you need to have a good defensive team, like must-haves, guard the ball, on point, perimeter stuff, the back end, just if you kind of share that.
Yeah, I built this team with defense in mind. So that's going to be kind of where we hang our hat. That's kind of going to be how we win games. And that's the kind of the end that we've identified as our best side of the ball. And so we know that. We're going to hang our hat on it. You know, for us, the big thing is just eliminating paint touches. When the ball gets in the paint, only bad things can happen. That's where you get fouls. That's where you get threes. And also that's where the points in the paint start to kill you too. And so eliminating paint touches is a big key. Deflection, having a high deflection rate is big for us, as well as a high contest rate. So if we can eliminate paint touches, and I like to say, you know, our main goal is a non-contested paint too. If we can get that every time on defense and get a rebound and limit them to one possession, it's a win.
Maybe converse offensively, I was just curious how it looks, perimeter shooting, just what your thoughts are on that, with the team that you have.
Yeah.
Vision.
I think we'll surprise a lot of people with our shooting. I know on paper you can look at us and maybe not think we're the best shooting team, but you know, our style of play and the way we want to play, and I think a big part of why we'll be a good shooting team is our shot selection. You know, we're not going to be a team that just comes down and jack a bunch of threes and play that way. We'll have a great shot selection that will make our percentages high and play in the right way. I think will be a big key of getting quality threes and then being able to make them.
Bringing 13 guys together the way you have is obviously incredibly difficult, but now that you've had them for a while and you're through with a month or so of hardcore practices, do you feel pretty good, like you might if a year or two from now when you have guys returning?
Yeah. You know, I think we have a good core and a good foundation. But you know, the hard part about this day and age is you can never really just stamp guys that's coming back. You know, we'll create an environment where we'll have great relationships, and there'll be a place where they'll develop, and there's some things that we feel they can't get anywhere else that will create a culture of them wanting to come back, but they also know it's not a guarantee. But of course, we would love to build it from within. I think that's the kind of way that you stay ahead of the curve instead of having to get 10 or 8 new guys every year, where you can get a core group that you feel can get back a good 5 or 6, and then get 2 or 3 freshmen, 2 or 3 transfers, and then just kind of build it that way. It would be how I want to do it. And we have the right guys in the building. We have great kids. I'm very pleased with how the staff kind of helped construct this roster and the people we have in the building. It makes it easy, it makes it exciting to come to practice every day to be able to coach. And also we don't have a low ceiling, we have a high ceiling, which is hard to say this day and age when we get older players and get transfers, but our mix gives us a higher ceiling than most, in my opinion.
Do you have a starting rotation line already, or are you still ironing that out?
I'm still ironing it down. And we're using it's scrimmages to kind of figure it out. And I'm throwing a bunch of different lineups out there. When I started Saturday, I may start a whole different group this Saturday. So just getting a feel for who works well together is a big part of it too. You know, the one thing I will say is we have great size, so playing to that is part of in my mindset already. So playing to our size and having great positional size adds to our versatility will be the one thing, but I haven't kind of honed in on a starting five yet.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, Jay, just your message to recruits, at this 26th cycle, what has it been, what's been the main theme that you and your staff have been talking to these guys about essentially the kind of program you want to have?
No, you know, big thing is just we're going to develop you. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's how my staff is built. I think we'll show that with when we get on the court and also the development throughout the season. I think that's one of the most important things that you can get now in this day and age of college is great development, but also knowing that you have great relationships. From a head coaching perspective, you're gonna have somebody who tells you the truth and hold you accountable and hold you to a high standard, but also understands, you know, your process of what you're going through and understanding it's not one size fits all. It's not cookie cutter. Each person needs something different. I can't coach this guy the same way I coach this person because they're two different people. You know, but at the core, the coaching is the same, but I have to do it what's best for Dante is not what's best for Trey, and understanding that I think is a big part of it. But the development piece, the relationship piece, and then getting them to understand what it means to win. You know, those three things are what we're looking for, but also what we're selling. You know, a big part is just making sure we get people that fit that. It's most important to me and the staff and for my program.
Talking about recruiting in Florida, but it seems like you guys are, you know, looking at prospects all across the country.
Yep.
That you've targeted. You speak on that and kind of what you're looking at with across the country.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I took this job and was excited to get this job is because it is a national brand. You know, I understand how big it is in South Florida and also in the state of Florida, but it gives us the ability to go everywhere. You know, we can go to California, we can go to Texas, we can go to New York, New Jersey. We can recruit kids from everywhere. And that's what's exciting about this place and being here. And then part of it's about selling our vision. And you know, this cycle is different because a lot of kids haven't committed yet. A lot of kids are waiting a little bit longer. And I think it benefits us once they get to see us and our style of play and how we play and how I coach and get to get a visual of what I'm selling. I think it'll only benefit us in the long run.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.